there, welcome to Subpar Stitches. My name is Hillary, and this is my Flosstube channel. So it has been, I believe, 2 weeks since my last update. I am really out of practice with filming because I have not been filming at all for my other channel. So if I seem a little bit discombobulated, it's because I'm out of practice. My company has been closed since December 23rd, and I have been off work that whole time. It is January 3rd now when I'm filming this. I have to go back to work tomorrow, unfortunately. But I have had all that time to just do whatever I want. And I have been mostly stitching, and I did knit a little bit, but it's been a lot of cross stitch. So this one is probably going to be a little bit more jam-packed than normal just because I've had all that extra time and I took advantage of it. So strap in because I have a lot to show you guys. I did end up doing a 12 by 12, even though I said I wasn't gonna, very impromptu. And so I have that. I have other new starts besides that for really fun reasons, which I will share with you. Here's a little hint. But yeah, so I have a lot to show you. Not too much haul, surprisingly. I was so busy stitching that I wasn't shopping, which is honestly a good thing. So let us jump right in with all of my FFOs, which of course are ornaments. All right, so this is a stitching community. This is a free pattern that I found out about via Elizabeth Ann Can Stitch. She made this and talked about it. And so I was like, oh, that's kind of cute. I want to do that. She showed on a video of hers how she finished hers. So I kind of followed that. I don't think I showed this last time. But look at what I did. I fully was not paying attention when I finished this because I finished it at like midnight. I was just like, I'm bored. Let me do something. So I just cut out some, I think it was like sticky board, and I ended up using, I had some plain red fabric in my stash, and then I put some, what do you call it, like batting in here, and I made a photocopy of my finished piece, and then I used that, I cut that out, and I used that as a template to draw out the shape that I wanted for my sticky board, so that it wouldn't be like a lot of guesswork, because this is a weird shape, you know, it's like a stocking. And then this is, I was worried because I've never worked with like trim yet. And so I was like, this is going to be really hard. I was absolutely covered in glue. Like, I'm not going to lie to you. But I used the Lady Dot Creates, it's like mini palm. I can't remember what the color is, but overall it was super easy. And then I just had this ribbon that I got at like Walmart. It's cute. I definitely could have done a better job, especially lining up the top here. And like, I've got like one kind of like jagged edge, but it's my first time finishing like a weirdly shaped ornament, and I'm still really new to fully finishing stuff and anything other than a frame. So I'm very happy with this. This was stitched on, oh my gosh, I think it's like a 28 count linen. I think it's Milk and Honey. And then I just used some fancy floss, and it's fun. I should not have used fancy floss on such a big count because I had to go, you know, did I go 2 over? Yeah, I did do 2 over 2. And so it really ate up that skein of fancy floss, which is fine. Like, not a big deal. I learned my lesson. But it's a very red ornament, and I'm pretty sure this designer has like books of these little stocking ornaments, so I might pick some of those up, but I really like that. And then I finished all of my Creepy Christmas Sal ornament stitch along. This is another one where I definitely could have done a better job finishing it, but I learned a very important lesson. So let me just show you in the order. So here is the first one. I used all the called for fabric, so it's like elephant run. I used 36 count, I believe, by Fox and Rabbit, and then I just used all the called for DMC. And so what I did was I went to Hobby Lobby because they were having like a huge after Christmas sale, and a lot of their trims and ribbons were really cheap. So I bought this. I just bought a bunch of stuff, and then I got home and I was like, oh, I could use some of this like right now. So I used this like black pom, and then this like weird, I don't know what you call that, kind of a lacy trim. And I used that on all of them. I bought these wood circles, and then they had a really cheap wood stain. And so I stained it with that because these were just like that light brown. And then I thought this was a good idea. It was not a good idea. I bought basswood, and that's what I finished this on because I have a Cricut that can cut basswood. So I was like, I can have it cut the wood out to like the perfect size. When I put any glue on the basswood, it warped the wood because it got it wet. And so I ended up actually, you can probably kind of see from the side, some of these are a little bit warpy kind of, because I ended up having to put a bunch of stuff on top of them to keep them flat while they dried. So not my best moment, won't be doing that again, but I still think these are really cute. So that was the first one, the creepy Christmas carolers. I think the second one was the house, and you can see like some of these I did not glue like perfectly circular around. They're a little bit lumpy. That's because of the basswood fiasco. The third one is like this fun tree where the ravens or the crows are decorating it with skulls. So I think that this is the fourth one. This is the Headless Horseman carriage. And then my favorite is this like creepy crawly gazebo, because I like this like the idea that it's just like, it's just creepy because there's a spider in it. Like, I don't know. And then the last one was like the ghosts of Christmas past, present, and future. This one had like 1,500 stitches in it. I think it was like the most full coverage. And I made a couple mistakes in it, but I ended up kind of spoofing on them, and I ended up, I don't think you can really tell. So these will be going on my tree next year, but I got a pretty good chunk of them. And that is everything that I fully finished. I didn't actually like just plain out finish anything. I FFO'd everything that I finished. So there's that. Now we can go into the new starts and the whips, and I have a few. So the first thing I started was on December 22nd, and I'm not going to take this out of the frame because it's such a hassle, but this is the Jan Hicks Meditation Garden, and I'm stitching this in Silks by Miss Sadis, and I'm really enjoying this. The border is so fun. What is the fabric? This is 36 count stone linen by Fiber on a Whim. And the silks are slightly variegated, at least the ones that I've used so far. I feel like you can only see it a little bit in the birds and like the clovers. I really like this pattern because it's like the border all the way around is so, it's got so much variation in it that I feel like you can't get bored stitching it. And here are the silks. Some of them you can see, like the ones that I've used so far are a little bit unfurled, and then the ones that I haven't, I've just left as they are. I'm really enjoying, these are so soft. They are so nice to stitch with. There's been a few times where I've like pulled it through and I'm like, oh God, I'm going to get a knot, and then it just unknots itself before I can even finish that thought because the silks are so, so soft. I'm excited to get to this color just because it's so pretty. And this lighter pink has some more visible variegation in it, so I really like that. I like the ones that have more visible variegation because I just feel like they're more fun to work with. But Jan Hicks, like her colors that she chooses for stuff are always so pretty. Now this does have like a DMC equivalent. You don't have to stitch this with silks. The reason I'm stitching this in silks is because this is, I feel like it's absolutely not a necessity, but I am going to enter this piece into the state fair when I finish it. So I just thought having it in the silks would be really pretty, and I really like the design. So, I mean, I'm going to pay to have it framed, so I figure I might as well go all out. The silks were very expensive. I think it was like $80 for the silk pack plus shipping, which I don't know what is normal to pay for a silk pack, but it's not cheap. Like, I think part of it is just there's so many colors, so that probably doesn't help. But I'm stitching it 1/2 on the 36 count linen, and so far it's been really good. I made one mistake, and I cannot for the life of me figure out where I made it. So I just kind of, I don't know if you guys can see here, it kind of goes like off and down a little bit. I got off by half a stitch somewhere, and I can't figure out where. So I'm hoping that nobody notices. The next thing I started was my Year in Stitches project, which I told you guys before. It's going to be just like almost like a stitch diary. I'm going to do like one little motif a day to either like summarize a moment in the day or just something to represent that day. And so far I'm stitching it on, this is what, 32 count. It's just an easy count, which so far I haven't really felt like it's super helpful to have it gridded, but we'll see. Maybe in the future I'll change my mind. I've only got, so like across the top, it's going to say a year in stitches. This is all like self-drafted. I've only got the A because I was like, I need somewhere to like count off of so that I can put in my first motif. So I have the first two. Today, as I'm filming, is the third. This is going up on Saturday, so I will have a lot more done by that point. But here is the A. I'm deciding whether or not I want to back stitch around that gray to give it some extra pop. The dragon here is January 1st motif because we are in the year of the dragon. I don't know if you can tell, I stitched it completely with a toile just because I can. I just did it because I really like the specialty fun threads. And then yesterday, January 2nd, literally all I did all day was watch TV. Like, I have to go back to work tomorrow and I just wanted a chill vibes day. So both of these patterns here were adapted from the, what's his name? Makoto Ozu. He does like the mini cross stitch patterns. I took them, put them in the stitch fiddle. I modified them to my liking and fit and stuff like that. So they're either a little bit bigger or a little bit smaller. I changed the way the antenna is stitched here. I used a metallic thread for that. I think it's really cute. I'm loving it so far. I feel like it's going to be a little bit of pressure to come up with stuff for some days because yesterday, I did nothing but watch TV. And I was like, oh my God, I did nothing. What am I going to do? And then I was like, oh, I'll just do a TV. So it might be hard. It might be easy. I'm not really sure. But so far, 2 days into it, I am loving it. And then hopefully the grid will wash out without a problem. The next thing I started was 12 projects because I did an impromptu 12 by 12. And I was like, that's going to be a lot of work. And I was like, I don't know if I really, I think it sounds really fun, like 12 straight hours of cross stitching. Like, what could get better? But at the same time, I knew I was going to be away for part of the day on New Year's Eve because my boyfriend took me on a little trip on the day before. And so I knew we weren't going to get back until a little bit later on New Year's Eve. And then on New Year's Day, my parents wanted to come out and celebrate because I had gotten engaged. And I'll talk about that a little bit more. But I decided to split it up and do 6 on New Year's Eve and 6 on New Year's Day. And that worked really well for me. And I ended up, because this is Kia B's project, like her idea. And so this year, I guess she had said she wanted, like, if you wanted to, because there's really no rules. You can do whatever you want. But she was like, use your magazines. And I was like, I own 2 magazines. Like, I literally own 2 cross-stitch magazines. I have the Just Cross-Stitch Halloween from this year, or for 2023, because that was last year now. And I have the Halloween Christmas ornaments from 2023. So I was like, there's no way. Like, I don't have enough magazines to get stuff up. And then I was like, I'm going to do it anyways. So I think 10 10 of these are magazines, and then 2 are like miscellaneous patterns. So let's go through them one by one. A lot of it is, oh, actually, you know what? Less, because I have a couple kits in here as well. Now, I only worked on these an hour a piece. The only exception to if I worked on it a little longer is if my hour was up, but I still had thread on the needle, I finished that thread because I don't like leaving hanging threads for the most part. I did a lot of the border work on these, so it might not be super exciting, but the thing I liked about doing 12 ornaments is that even though I started 12 things, it's not like it's going to be overwhelming to finish these. So these are in no particular order. I'm just going to show you as they are in my stack here. And I'm going to try not to show you any patterns. I made photocopies just straight from the magazine. So the first one I have is Christmas Chaos. And this is by Maria Warmke of the Stitcherhood. And it's this cute little, I don't even own a cat, but my boyfriend is obsessed with cats and he's allergic to cats, so he can't have them. But this is what it's going to look like. I ended up picking, this is 18 count Lagoon Ada from Fiber on a Whim. And so here is where I got to. I got the entire black border, and then I started on the Christmas lights through here. And this will be, I'm going to say this on all of them. I'm like, this will be a quick stitch. I went through all of my fabrics. I pulled them all out. I pulled out all the patterns I wanted to do, and then I pulled all my fabrics and just matched them up, and I was like, oh, this will probably look good. I can't see myself using this Lagoon Ada for much, because it's just not my favorite type of color. I bought this specifically for a project for somebody that I was like making as a gift, but I feel like an hour, it's not a lot when you're first starting something, but I still feel like I got decent progress on all these. All except like maybe one. The next one on my pile is one of the Mill Hill Santas. I've started to collect all of the Mill Hill Santas because I'm crazy. This is from the Northwood Santa series. I think this is the first one. This is the Pine Tree Santa. So here is what it'll look like when it is done. I have the full kit here. And is this the right way? I think this is the right way up. This is where I got. So I feel like I made pretty decent progress with this one. I got like 4 different colors in there. I like these perforated paper kits. I think that they're fun to do. And I've done one so far from Mill Hill, and I loved the beading process. And that really made me want to get all of the Mill Hill Santas. They release 3 a year in a different theme every year. So, and they're like $8 to $10 depending on how old they are. So like that's a lot to collect. So it's like an overtime project, but I have 3 so far. So that was the first one of the 3 that I have. This is the first one that I actually started my 12 by 12 with. This is called Woodland Holiday. This is by Nicole LeBranch of Spot Colors. And this is the finished piece. It's really itty bitty motifs. I was like, this one will stitch up so fast. Like I could finish this probably today if I really wanted to. Here's where I got a pretty good start, I would say. I finished the whole deer because I was like, oh, I want, like, this is the kind of pattern I like doing in a 12 by 12 because you could actually see something becoming of it. A lot of them are just borders, and I was watching, who was I watching? Was it Two Needles Pulling Thread? And they were saying how, like, when you do 12 by 12, or maybe it was, no, it was Unfinished Stitches. They were talking about their 12 by 12. They checked in every hour, which I thought was fun. That's like a mother-daughter duo. And they were like, yeah, a lot of it is just stitching the border. So you're like stitching borders for like 12 hours if you're doing new starts. And that one is just stitched on 18 count white Ada. So maybe next year if I do this again, I will do like a combination of new starts and like whips. Next on my pile, oh, this is the other Mill Hill Santa that I had in my 12 by 12. This is the Holly Berry Santa. This one, he has a little, on his hat, he's got a little bell, so that's really cute. The thing I like about the Mill Hill kits is not only do they have like the beads, but there's always like one really fun bead, at least at a minimum, I feel, in every kit, where it just kind of adds like a little extra oomph. And it's making me want to incorporate that kind of stuff into my projects on my own. So I feel like, I don't know if it was just because I focused on one color, but I feel like this one I got like really, really far on. So this one stitched up really, really fast. And I know some people don't like stitching on the perforated paper. For me, I feel like stitching on the perforated paper is quite enjoyable for some reason, but my hands do. Sometimes I get nervous that I'm like gonna ruin it. Like I feel like I'm like too like squenchy with stuff. So I have to be way more mindful when I'm stitching on it. Okay, this one I really like. This is Have a Mod Christmas, and it's by Sunny Lofstrom of Three Tiny Owls. And here is what it will look like when it is done. I made an error on this that I don't know if I'm going to correct. This is on 28 count white even weave. I just picked it up at like Joann's or something like that. So I don't know how much you'll be able to see. I was doing like half stitches up here in this like lighter green. And then I realized when I got down to the darker green, they weren't half stitches. They were quarter stitches. And I don't know why I didn't realize that sooner. But I didn't. So I started switching it over to the quarter stitches, and a lot of this, like where I did all the half stitches, there's going to be some back stitch around that. So I feel like it'll be fine, and I'll just do the quarter stitches throughout. But then again, it is such an insignificant amount to like pull out and restitch that I might do that. I'm going to finish the whole thing, see how it looks, and if I hate it, I'll just fix it. But I don't know. I had a lot more fun stitching this one than I expected to. I just like the end result of this, but I don't like this even weave at all. I want to use it up. Oh, it's DMC even weave. It is so stiff that it's just not easy for me to stitch on. I stitch it in hand, so it is a little bit easier in that way, but it's just so stiff. Next, I have one that I bought this kind of on a whim when I was like suddenly obsessed with cross stitch ornaments for no reason. This is a dimensions kit. And I know some people love dimensions. I have been watching Liz Matthews, and she has fallen down, she keeps saying, the rabbit hole of dimensions kits. And there are people who they're like, this is my dimensions kit collection. Like they collect these. I mean, no hate at all, but I think dimension kits are so ugly. Like, I just don't think they're that exciting. I know for some people, they absolutely love them. And there's stuff that I love that people think is ugly. It's fine. It's no hate to you. I just think that they're really dated looking and really kitschy. And sometimes that's great. And that, in this case, is wonderful because this little kitschy little gingerbread man, I love him. And so I have the kit. It is stitched on like a clear plastic. When I pulled all the threads out and I was like looking at them, I was like, there's no brown in here. It's orange. And looking at it, I'm like, it's so weird. The gingerbread house is stitched in orange. But I think that once you get all the colors in, that orange probably gets toned down. There's so much backstitch in this, which I don't hate backstitch. It's just, there's a lot. But this will be really cute when it's finished. And I think they have other ones in the series. I might pick up more, I might not. It just depends. I'm shooting for an ornament tree, so, you know. That is stitched 3/1, I think, on 14 count perforated plastic. That's a thing with like dimensions and the Mill Hill kits that I've bought. They're like stitched 3 strands, and I prefer 2, and I could just do 2, but I want that like thick, full look, so I do the 3. But I like to do a loop start, so it's kind of annoying. Okay, this next one is called Welcome, and it's by Jennifer Rodriguez of Always Time to Stitch. That is an Etsy shop, but I actually got this from the Cross Stitch magazine. I'm incredibly excited about this one. It is a door with a wreath on it, but you stitch them separately and then you attach the wreath to the door. It's stitched on perforated paper, which I had a whole sheet of, so I don't know. There was just something very cute about this. The only issue was she kitted it up, like her pattern calls for like gentle arts, and I don't have like a huge fancy floss stash. So I just use the DMC equivalents. So they won't have that variegation, but that's fine. Here's where I got, here's my concern. This is DMC 815. And I started stitching it, and then I realized that from that skein, this is like, all I have left is like a couple of strands, which is not going to be enough to finish out that door. I'm quite positive. So I do have more, it's just not the same dye lot, and I'm paranoid about dye lots. So I've heard what you can do is just take one strand from each of the dye lots, and because I'm stitching 2/1, and just use each of those strands, and that will kind of create a subtle like blend that makes it so that it's not like this stark change. So I think that's what I'm going to start doing on this. But here's that, and then I do have a piece of perforated paper for the wreath, which I just am excited. I like the assembly process of some of these, and the wreath has beads on it, which I don't know if you guys could see, but there's these little beads on there, and so I'm excited to put the beads on the wreath. I don't know, I just think it's really cute. It's like that Liz Matthews pattern, the pumpkin house, where it's like stitched on 2 different pieces of fabric that you then kind of put together. That kind of stuff I love. I feel like that kind of innovation is really fun. Okay, next this is like one of the few patterns that like I bought that I'm doing. So this is Noel en Rouge, and this is, I hear people say Lila Studios, I hear people say Lila Studios, I don't know. I am actually so close to just emailing the company and being like, hey, how do you pronounce your name? These are little Christmas sweaters, and they have a blue version too. So I'm gonna buy the blue ones too. I just bought the red ones first, and I will be stitching all 4. I started with this one, the Joy one, because I was like, let me do the monochromatic one first because it'll stitch up faster. Oh, they have the pictures of the blue ones in here as well. It comes with like a little template that you can use to cut out, and it is, I won't show you like the patterns obviously, but on the opposite side of this, it's like an accordion piece. They have all the patterns, and they are 60 by 54. I guess some of them are a little bit bigger. They're 63 by 54. So not super huge, and it's on like a nice hard cardstock. I like that. I am stitching these on the ugliest fabric. This is 32 count Ivory Jobelin by Witchelt. I've never stitched on a Jobelin before, but I ended up getting like a bunch really cheap, and I think with that color on there, it looks fine. It's just like, it's a weird cut too. Like, I don't know why I bought this, don't ask. But I got a decent start. The only problem is it's very see-through, so no traveling allowed. Got to be careful with that. Here's the back. You can see no traveling. I'm doing a good job. Oh yeah, same problem as the door. So this is stitched with DMC 816 or 816. And again, this is all I have left. So again, I will have to do what I did. There's like a weird stain on my Jobelin. Okay, well, it's going to get cut out. I will have to do the same thing where I'll have to integrate like 2 from 2 different skeins. Annoying. I was playing God there. I thought I could do it, but I was like, no. This is actually the final one that I did. This is Penguin Noel by Pam Lewis of Praiseworthy Stitches. My boyfriend, my fiance, I keep calling him my boyfriend, but he's my fiance now. My fiance loves penguins, and I just thought this would be a really cute one. I only started on the border. I've been a part of the Bestitch Me fabric club for a little bit, but I haven't actually used any of the fabric. So this was the perfect time. I busted out a few of the Bestitch Me fabrics. This is 32 count Nightshade Lugana by Bestitch Me. And I just thought this was really good for a Christmas stitch. It's like this really beautiful, slightly mottled purple, and that green really pops against it. I think it'll be great because this will be like the sky behind the penguins. So I finished that green border, and that's all I've done so far. But again, these are all going to be such quick stitches that I'm not worried about an insignificant start on any of these. Okay, I got 3 more for the for my 12 by 12. This is Snowy Wishes by Maria Teresa Vitali of MTV Designs. I never heard of them until I saw this one. He is this smug looking little snowman. I don't know. I just thought he looked really funny. Again, I'm using a Bestitch Me fabric. This is 32 count Luna Moth Lugana. And I had to pull a bunch out and then restitch. And so here's where I'm at. At first I was worried like maybe this white wasn't going to show very well. But I think with a lot of it kind of stuck together, it shows a little bit better in person. And that sign gets backstitched anyways, because that's where I started, was like the sign, which, oh my God, right there. It's going to get backstitched around anyways. And then I was kind of worried like, oh, is the snowman going to show up? But I feel like the white stitching is dense enough that it'll be okay. This is called for Weeks Dye Works, but I'm stitching it in DMC because I don't use Weeks Dye Works, so I don't even have any of that on hand. Yeah, that was kind of my weakest start though. Like I just wasn't, I mean, just stitching a bunch of like white in like a rectangle is not the most fun, but it must be done. So it'll be fine. Number 11. Oh, I'm excited about this one. This is an 18 count white Ada. And this is another one from the Cross Stitch magazine. This is Holly Geese, designed by Carol Thornton. It doesn't have like a design company or anything. Wow, buying a printer like an adult has really paid off for me. But here it is, Geese. Another thing Rob, my fiance, loves are geese. He is the only person I've ever met who's like obsessed with geese. And in Michigan, we have a lot of geese. We're right next to Canada, so the Canada geese, they come and hang out here. Then they go there, then they come back. I don't know how they work, but they're everywhere. We have so many geese. And so far, all I've gotten is like the top, because it's going to be like a really dense, I mean, it's like a full coverage piece. But I just started on that blue, and I feel like I got a significant chunk done. They're so cute. The geese have a lot of like shading detail in them, so I think that they will look fun when they're complete. And then the last one in my little 12 by 12, this is a Witchy Stitcher Patreon pattern. She did something wild for the month of December, and she did like a 12 days of Christmas pattern drop. So every day for 12 days, she dropped a little mini ornament. And some of them had 2. Like this one has 2. Some of them I think just had 1, which still, it's like she dropped more than 12 patterns in 12 days. So I'm probably going to do most, if not all of them. I started out with the Mothman because this is the first one that dropped, but also I'm obsessed with Mothman. I'm going to do the Christmas lights one, and I'm trying to decide if instead of stitching the colors, I want to do beads. I think that would be really cute. I will also do this one. They're not huge. They're like 42 by 50. I'm doing mine on a self-dyed 18 count Ada, and I just dyed it with gray Rit dye. I thought this would be good for the Mothman patterns. I don't know. I'm probably going to do all of them on like self-dyed 18 count Ada, so they all match, but maybe they have a little bit of like interest to them depending on the pattern itself. But I got one of his wings and I started in on his head, and I've only done the 310 so far. So, but the Witchy Stitcher Patreon is very, very good. So I would, if you are interested, I would definitely recommend signing up. Okay, I have one more new start that wasn't my 12 by 12, and then we can get into my whips. So like I said, I worked on a lot. So yesterday I decided to start because like I said, I did end up getting engaged. I wanted to do a piece to commemorate that. So on December 30th, my fiance, he was my boyfriend at the time. He took me to Frankenmuth, which if you're not from Michigan, you are like, what the hell is Frankenmuth? It is a little German-themed Christmas town in Michigan. And I mean, it's really hard to explain if you're not like from here, but it's like a kitschy, touristy, fun place to go. They have this store called Bronner's, which is like one of the biggest Christmas stores, I think, in the world. And they just have tons of ornaments. And the reason he took me there is our first trip as a couple was going and doing like an overnight stay at Frankenmuth. We live a lot closer there now, so it's like kind of like we only live an hour away. So it's like doing an overnight trip, it's like, you know, you don't really need to pay for that. But we did that, and he ended up proposing while we were there, and it was really sweet. But I wanted to do a cross stitch to commemorate that. And this is going to be so hard to show you guys. This is the Love Bugs sampler by Sprouting Lupine. This is one that ever since I've seen it, I have wanted to do it. I love bugs, the Love Bug sampler, and I love bugs. I collect bug stuff. I have a bunch of dead bugs in a cabinet. Like, it's weird, I know, but I love bugs. So I'm doing this all called for, which means that I'm doing it on the 32 count Sprite Lugana by Picture This Plus. It's all like pinks and reds. This isn't all of them. This is just some of them. And I got a pretty good start. I only started this last night. I've got about 6,000 stitches left to go. I did about 400 yesterday. And like, even in person, you know, it is like, oh, like, what am I looking at? You know, it's tough to see. It's supposed to be really dainty and light, so I'm not worried. In the right light, you can definitely see it. But I got all of these weird little bugs at the top. Then there's like a couple little like border motifs, and now there's going to be a praying mantis right here. And I bought the digital pattern, but like I bought this, I kitted it up, and I was going to start it on Valentine's Day this year, but then Rob proposed, and I was like, well, that's kind of perfect, right? So there's a spot for your initials, and then there's a spot for the year, but she includes a, like an alphabet and a, like, numbers, and there's like 2 alphabets in there. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put, like, our initials, and then I'm gonna put, instead of the year, I'm just gonna fully put the date that we got engaged. I don't know if that's weird, but I'm gonna do that anyways, because he proposed me on December 30th, so it's like, do I put 2023 on it? Or do I put 2024 on it because I'm going to finish it in 2024? Like, it's just kind of weird. So I'm going to put the date that he proposed, and it'll be our little Love Bugs sampler. So I don't know. I really, really love this pattern. And she just released another one, and I kind of want that one too. And there's like a black and yellow one that I want as well. But I want to finish this one first, and then I'll pick the next one I want to buy. So those are all my new starts. I think that was like 16 if you count all the like 12 by 12s individually. That's a lot, but a lot of them will be finished fast. So let's do my actual whips. So this is stuff that I had already had started, and I worked on a little bit over the past couple weeks. So the first one that I worked on, I am pretty happy with how far I got, because one of my goals, I think I told you guys, was I really want to get a lot of progress on my Pokemon cross stitch. So I ended up putting, I wrote it down. I kind of was like, I want to keep track. I put 1,443 stitches into this since the last time you guys saw it, which I should have on the screen for you. And I feel like this is a big stitch. It's 115,000. This is the biggest stitch that I will have ever done. Previously, the biggest one I had done was like 50,000-ish. So this, I feel like you can really see the level of progress. And I don't take this out of the frame or anything like that, but I put in like all this yellow, black, and red. I put in some down here. I feel like it's going really well. And I've set a goal to do at least 3,000 stitches in the month of January on this. I've already put in like 400, and after I film this video, I'm gonna go put some more in, because I figure if I do at least around 600 a week for the month of January, I will be able to achieve that. what I've been doing that has made this a lot easier, because I got a little bit burnt out on the amount of color changes because there's over 100 colors in this. So what I've been doing instead is I pick a color and I just do everything within my reach of that color, or until I'm bored of that color. And then I go and I find another color. So I really only work on 1 to like maybe 3 colors in one sitting. So like that's why it's mostly like black, yellow, and red. And then I guess a little bit of gray. But it's been working a lot better. And I feel like I'm seeing a lot more progress, which is really spurring me on more. And it's just, I love this project, and I want to do this and Gen 2 because those are the 2 that I played before I really stopped playing Pokemon. And my dad used to play with me too. So like it has a lot of like layers of meaning for me. So I want to get both of them framed, and then I want to frame them in the same frame and have like a mat that's like cut like 2 windows so you can see. I think you guys know what I mean. But like this one has been so daunting that I was like, do I even want to do the second one? But now that I feel like renewed on this, I definitely want to do the second one, and I will have a better idea of how to handle and tackle that one. But yeah, one last look, because I'm really happy with, I know it's only like 1,400 stitches, but still, it's really renewed my vigor. Then I busted out my travel stitch, because anytime I have to be in the car with my boyfriend driving, I've been trying to stitch on this because I need to chill out. I need to learn to relax and let somebody else drive. And so this is my Mothman Believes in You. And I also worked on this in the hotel when we were on our little engagement trip. So while I was in the hotel, I actually did like part of Mothman's head because I was like, he looks weird when he's headless. And then when I'm actually in the car, I just do the fill-in because like that's the easiest thing for me to do in the car. I also kind of started like finishing this border so it would meet up. This is self-dyed purple Rit dye on 18 count white Aida, and it'll say Mothman Believes in You down here. And then there is like a bunch of like frilly fun border around here. This is a Stitch Sprout pattern. I love Stitch Sprout. I'm also part of their Patreon as well. I hate leaving hanging threads. I don't know why I did. I think it was like time to go to dinner or something. I will deal with that next time. But yeah, so far so good. And I don't work on this at home. I really only work on this in the car or like when I'm traveling somewhere, because I need simple fill-in stuff for the car because Michigan roads suck. They're really bad. Michigan people universally seem to hate Ohio, but let me tell you, you can tell when you've crossed the border into Ohio because suddenly you don't feel like you're on the oldest rickety roller coaster because their roads are actually good there. I think they have tolls, don't they? Or they have the turnpike. We don't have tolls. You just get what you get. And what you get is a lot of potholes. So it's hard to stitch in the car in Michigan. I don't know about you guys, but for me, it's like a disaster and a half. So, and then the other whip that I had, and this is another one that I have a goal in January for, is Pavane for These Times by Long Dog Sampler. So here's where it was the last time you guys saw it. There is straight up a needle in here, so I gotta be careful. Some projects I like leave my needle in the fabric, and then other projects I put them back in my needle box. I don't know why, because I pretty much only use a size 28 needle for almost every project. Aside from maybe 14 count fabric, I will use something different. So yeah, I don't know why I do that. But I feel like I got a pretty good chunk done. That middle vase here, I've gotten a lot. I'm hoping to get halfway through page 3 by the end of January, which means I have to finish up page 2, which there's like a little bit down here. And then this is blocking you guys. I have to finish up the florals on this side, but that I could probably do to 1 to 2 stitchy sessions. Maybe on a weekend, I could really blow that out of the water. I might make this my lunchtime stitch for a while, just because it's monochromatic. And then like page 3 won't be this is like most of the border. I think there's like just a few more stitches that I miscounted, so I need to add a few more, but I think that getting halfway down is not unreasonable to do in the month of January. This is one I would really like to maybe not finish in 2024, but get pretty darn close, because I feel like I've been finishing, last year I finished so many little projects, which I love. Like, it's such an ego boost to finish a lot of stuff. But I want to finish something big, and this is one of my bigger projects that I feel like is really attainable. And it's not my typical style, but there's something about some of the long dogs I really, because they're so busy, there's so much going on, I really like them. And the quote on this is really what sucked me in. Kind of like bottom center, it says, "Turn your face to the sun and the shadows fall behind you." And honestly, like, to me, that feels really uplifting. I'm not usually a big, like, affirmations person. I'm pretty cynical. I'm a little bit negative, and I don't want to be that type of person. I want to be happier. I want to be more positive. I want to make other people feel happy and positive. And so that is kind of why I picked this one, because I will probably have this professionally framed, hang it in my office, and just as a reminder. And something about this one too, which it won't seem significant to everybody because it is a silly little thing. Let me see if I can even find it. Here we go. So I had purchased an off-brand Q-snap, and I had a lot of anxiety about the Q-snap thing because I was like, it looks like it's going to be really hard to put on and off, and I feel like it's going to shred my fabric. And I watched so many videos before I set it up, and they were like, it will never tear your fabric. It will never happen. And I was like, oh, okay, sick. And like 9 people said that, so it's not going to happen. The first time I took it off the Q-snap, you know what it did? It tore my freaking fabric. I was so pissed. And it was I'm sure it was my fault, because it's just like the first few times you pop the things on and off, it's very tight. And so it ended up tearing my fabric, and I had already done so much border, and I was like, I don't want to do this, but I'm a very big, like, I don't like having mistakes and stuff. And I ended up finding a way, like right there is where it tore. I put the stitches in that were necessary, and then it still looked a little bit weird, so I put just a little bit of a back stitch. And I feel like this is such a busy piece. Like, you can't see it now. I'm holding it away, you can't tell. And I'm learning to let things like that go and just be like content with how it is. Like, if I can fix it in a way that nobody can tell, then why is it that big of a deal at the end of the day? And you know, it's not entirely like a personality thing. I am diagnosed with obsessive compulsive disorder, so I do fixate medically on things. And so it's hard, but it's one of those things that you do have to work at. And I feel like old me would have just trashed the whole piece. New me is slowly forgetting that error is even there. And I feel like the more I add to it, the less you can even tell it's there. So I'm pretty satisfied. So that is everything I worked on. And then I just have a little bit of haul, and then maybe just like, I guess, a life update, because like I said, I did get engaged, so I'll talk about that just briefly. I talked about it a little bit more on my other channel, and I know a lot of people who watch me here probably watch me there as well, but I will, man, my throat. I have not filmed anything in 2 weeks. I have not filmed for my other channel in 2 weeks, which I film 2 videos a week minimum for that channel. And I've been home alone for 2 weeks because my boyfriend still has to go to his job. So like, I just filmed 2 videos for my other channel, and then I'm filming like an hour-and-a-half video for this. I feel like I'm dying. I can't wait to not talk for the rest of the day. Oh, you know what? After haul, I do have a little bit of knitting to show you as well, because I'm a mess. So for my haul, the first thing is Top Knot Stitcher Shop was having like a deal on some of the Christmas patterns. I think it was right before Christmas or maybe right after, I don't know, but I bought some, and I already tucked them away, so I'll stick pictures up. So I got the Krampus sampler by Uncanny Kari and D's 20 Stitches, and I really like their designs together that they've done. And I've been meaning to buy some from, I think it's like Uncanny Kari's shop, and I just hadn't. And I don't know if they just got added to Top Knot Stitcher, but I saw them and I was like, well, I need to buy some. And I believe both of the designers are trans. I don't know much about Uncanny Kari, but I do watch These 20 Stitches. And if you are interested in somebody who has a lot of like activism background, they do talk a lot about that in their videos as well. And, you know, a big focus on LGBTQ plus, and, you know, specifically trans because D is trans. But I feel like if you're somebody who's really interested in activism within the crafting space, they are a really good resource to watch. They give you a lot of resources if you want to expand your knowledge. And so highly recommend them. But I bought the Krampus like sampler, and it's just got like the creepiest, I'm pretty sure Krampus, I can't tell if it's a beard or if it's his tongue sticking out, but either way it's hilarious. And then there's like two, I think, kids being like suspended upside down in a bunch of flames. It's just really funny. Like, I don't know, I just thought it was goofy. And so I threw that in the cart. I did show you guys this one because I started this one. This is Noel en Rouge, Christmas in Red by Leela Studios. I need to pick up the blue one. I got a Lindy's Stitches pattern. I literally picked this up because I thought Rob would find this hilarious. And it's called the Mistletoe Loitering Society. And it's just a bunch of cutesy little animals under like the mistletoe. There's like a penguin, a fish. I can't remember everything, but super duper cute. I can't wait. I'll probably stitch that one sometime later in this year because I'm getting a little bit Christmased out. And then this is one of the ones that I had actually really wanted to get from the Uncanny Kari and These 20 Stitches website. They had two that are like these like pinky reds on pink fabric. And one was the, what do you call it? The Iron Maiden, which I think Cam the Stitcher, like that's like her big like special project that she had wanted to do for a while. And for me, I like that one, but I really liked Don't Touch Me more because I always do this to Rob whenever I'm like being annoyed about something. I'm like, don't touch me. And like, I like fake run away. And so I just thought this was cute. It's got like a goofy looking heart. It called for Brin and Needle flosses and fabric. I had never heard of them before, so I don't have Brin and Needle floss, so I wasn't paying attention. Like, I just didn't even think that it was even going to be like a thing. And then I got it in the mail and I was like, oh, I don't have any of these flosses, because I was going to throw this one in the 12 by 12 because it's kind of small, but I didn't have the flosses, so I couldn't do it. So then I had to place an order. So then I placed an order with 123 Stitch, you know, Old Faithful. And I ended up getting another one of the Mill Hill Santas. This is my favorite, hands down my favorite Mill Hill Santa. It's called the Christmas Morning Santa. And here is the picture. I took it out of the plastic, but it's glossy, so it's still a little bit. But it's like Santa in like this huge, long, like nighty banana slippers? What? Bunny slippers. Oh my God. You've got his like coffee mug, and I don't know if you can see that back stitching where it's like the steam coming up. And then he's got, I think it's a donut, not a cookie. Yeah, I think it's a donut. And his beard is just like a mess. That's something that I really love about the Mill Hill Santas, is like the beard work is really, really cool. But yeah, I just thought this was like such a cute little fun one. So when I had placed my last 123 Stitch order, I was going to put this one in the cart, and it was sold out. So I threw myself on like the notify me when it's in stock list, and I did get an email, and I was like, it was like 2 days after I placed my stupid order, and I was like, really, guys? But I ended up, because I needed those flosses for the Don't Touch Me pattern, I threw that in, and then the DMC equivalents were all variations, right? Is this the, yeah, color variation DMC, which I ordered the full set from DMC, and then they canceled my order like several months ago, and I just never ended up getting them later on. So I think it's these 4, because I got the ones for the thing, and then I was like, well, I should add some other ones in. So I got, I'll just show you really quick, 4210, which is like a red and like burgundy. This is 4180, which is like pink to like a super light, almost white pink. This one is 4170, which is like pink, white, and like almost like a yellowy pink, like a flesh tone kind of. And then 4200, which is like red, orange, and like just a touch of pink. And then of course I had to get a few more because I'm me. So I got a bunch of weird greens because funky greens are like kind of my fave right now. So 4047, which is like a pine tree green. And then 4066, which is like swampy, mossy green. 4069, which is like a lime, chartreusey yellow. I got 4068, which this is like swampy, greeny brown. Love that. 4122, which reminded me of like fall leaves. 4024, which is, of course, just straight up Christmas right here. 4020, which is like blues and like almost white, which I felt like would be good for like water or sky. 4000, which is like brown to like gray, which I thought would be good for like animal fur or wood. And then 4015, which is like a gray, like a bluish gray, I guess you could say, to white. And again, I thought this would be good for like animal fur or maybe like some kind of concrete. So there's all those. And I have all the pip and chip bobbins for these. So I got ahead of myself and I bought every pip and chip bobbin for every DMC color. So I can wrap those up. And then my final purchase was my Bestitch Me Fabric of the Month Club, which came yesterday. And I'm going to be honest with you, I opened it and was like, cool. And then I just like threw it on the couch in here because I just started doing other stuff. So I haven't really looked at it. So let's start with the silks. This one looks so weird to me. I can't quite put my finger on it. This one's called Christmas Jammies. And it's like a dark red, a dark green, and then I think black, like a grayed out black. But the texture of the floss looks different than all the other flosses I've received from them. I don't know if it's like the dyes or what, but it just looks so different. Not in a bad way, in a really fun way. But yeah, Christmas Jammies. And then this one is so weird. This one is called Snowman. And I mean, I totally see it. But like, wow, I totally missed. It's got orange, red, white, and black. So you got like the orange of his nose, maybe like red buttons, black hat, white snowman. I think that one is super creative. I don't know. I mean, I'm always like, I don't know what I'm going to do with these. And then I put them in my closet. But I would like to get some use out of these. And then, of course, I'm also in the Fabric of the Month Club. And like, I looked at the flosses yesterday, but I didn't fully look at the fabric because I'm not going to lie, I was a little bit disappointed when I opened the fabric because it's another blue. And I feel like we've gotten a lot of blues. This one is called Blue Moon. I'm getting the even weave in 40 count, but let me open it up and see if I change my mind. Okay, I mean, it is beautiful. It's very, very pretty. So I'm in the like color club, not the neutral, but I feel like this would work well for a piece that you need a more neutral color. I just, I'm hoping, as much as I love a lot of the blues that I've been getting, because like, well, we got like Luna Moth, and then like we got some bluey purple. I would love to see some funky colors in the spring, summer, but so far, like I said, the first time I stitched on the Bestitch Me fabric has been in my 12x12. It's really nice. I swapped because I was getting 32 count, and I was like, why am I getting 32 count? I usually stitch on 36 or 18 count. That's my favorite. But they don't have I didn't see a 36 count option for the club. So I was like, well, let me get some 40 count because I don't really have any 40 count. Suddenly, I have a use for this. Suddenly I realized, like, because there was a project that I have that calls for like 20 count. This is 40 count, and it would be perfect on this fabric. So I take back every negative thing I said about it. I will be using this for another ornament. It's so soft though. The one thing I did notice when I was stitching on the 32 count, the weave is quite tight. So I probably would have been fine staying in the 32 count. Because I feel like it's essentially looks like 18 count with how tight the weave is. However, I'm going to try stitching on the 40 count, see how I like it. And if I don't like it, I can just swap it back to 32 count because I did find myself really enjoying her 32 count. So real quick, let me just talk about my knitting and then I will just do like a quick life update and then I will be done, I promise. So I did knit a couple of things. I'm just going to pop up the pictures that I have from Ravelry. They're not like the best pictures, but I had made this dumpling bag by, I think who is the designer? Pearl Soho. And my gauge was off. Like, don't even worry about it. Honestly, I didn't like this yarn. And I was like, let me just use it up on this for some reason. And then I ended up liking it in the style of the bag. I'll probably use it in like as a little like project bag for something small, like knitting wise. It's just like a cotton yarn. It dried the hell out of my hands. Like I felt like it was torture to knit with. I like the feeling of cotton when it's knit up, but knitting cotton is kind of like, oh, like your hands just start to get really dry. I have enough that I can make one more with it and I probably will just to use it up. And then I did knit another pair of the DK Weight vanilla socks. This time I put contrast on the heel, toe, and cuff, but I just put like a contrast stripe on the cuff. I didn't do the whole cuff contrasted. And at that point, I felt comfortable enough with socks that I was like, all right, I'm gonna graduate myself from DK weight to like actual sock weight yarn. So I did start just a pair of shorty socks and I'm enjoying them so far. I'm almost done with the first one. And I have bought so much sock yarn. Like I bought some sock yarn and I bought some sock yarn and I bought some sock yarn and there's more over there that I can't reach and there's more in I'm not buying socks anymore because I'm just making all my socks. So I will be making a lot. You're going to see a lot of knit socks on this channel, I think. Just mentioned in passing because I'm not like, my goal is not to become like a knitting like YouTuber because I don't feel like I'm anywhere that competent, but I'm really enjoying it. And then I guess like that, I mean, that's all my knitting. Like I just kind of do it here and there when my hands start to cramp up from cross stitching. I switch to another hand heavy craft. But yeah, I mentioned a couple times, but I did get engaged to my, I guess, partner of 10 years, Rob, don't call him, I think it's weird when people call him Robert. Like on my other channel, people in the comments would be like, oh, Robert this, Robert that. And I'm like, why are you guys calling him Robert? His name is Rob. But I realize I do call him Robert in the context of when he's annoying me, which is like 90% of the time. That's our relationship. He annoys me and I love it. So, yeah, he proposed to me at Frankenmuth after 10 years together. I didn't think that I would get emotional because like it's been 10 years. I knew it was going to happen. And yet somehow I still cried. Maybe it's because I drank an entire bottle of wine. Because he took me to this wonderful restaurant called Prost. If you are near Frankenmuth, go there. Prices, bottom of the barrel cheap. Like I could not believe how much food we got for the price we paid. And then like the wine was really good as well. It was like a charcuterie and wine bar. All their stuff was pretty much sourced locally from what I understood. It was like, I was eating stuff that I don't normally eat. Like they had butter pickles. I hate sweet pickles. I was like, where can I buy these? I like grabbed the waiter and I was like, hey bro, where did you get these? Because I'm going to need some more. They had sauerkraut, which it's like, I'm not like opposed to sauerkraut, but my boyfriend's Korean, so we just eat kimchi, which is basically just sauerkraut, but spicy. And so I'm like, I don't feel the need to eat sauerkraut, but the sauerkraut they had there was fire. And then they had, like wine flights for like tasting. And they had these little sets of 3, or you could get a set of 6 of the house wines. And it was like 6 3-ounce pours for like $25. And I could not really, I guess in my head, I was like, I don't know what an ounce is. 3 ounces isn't that big. They brought it out and I was like, this, first of all, they over poured every single one. So it was like way more than 3 ounces. So I was like drinking definitely like a bottle of wine by myself. And then my fiance didn't like the drink that he got because it tasted too much like an old fashioned, and he doesn't like old fashions, but I love old fashions. So I was like, okay, I'll drink that too. So by the time he drove me around town and like we saw the Christmas lights and he proposed, I was just like, yes, like I was weepy. But yeah, here's the ring. It's got the little, I don't know, it's hard to show on a camera like this. It's got the little like side, what do you call that? Like the hidden halo. It is an oval shape. It is moissanite set in platinum because as much as I like gold, I think that silvery tones look better on me. I feel like it's like half a size too big, so I put one of these like rubbery things on it, but my hands do kind of swell up in the heat, so I'm waiting on resizing to see like how I want to do that. But I don't know, I've only been engaged for like 3 or 4 days, so I don't really have like to think about all this right now, but I'm definitely about to go into full wedding planning mode, so that's gonna be fun. But yeah, I think that's everything. It has been well over an hour. This is probably like my longest floss tube, and I'm hungry and I need to clean this up so that I can go sit and cross stitch for the rest of the day. So I hope you guys enjoyed my video. I hope that in 2 weeks I can come to you with some significant progress on my Pokemon stitch and Pavane, because those are two of my big, like, I want to get these as done as I can in the year 2024. That's kind of my 2 big goals, because those are my 2 oldest big projects. I actually started this on January 1st of 2023, so I didn't get very far in a year. So I would like to beast this out this year and get as close to a finish as possible so that by 2025, I can be done with it. So yeah, that is going to be it from me. I hope you guys enjoyed my video. I really enjoy all your comments, and if you have any wedding planning tips, please let me know, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.